Oh,
Okay,
I'm
welcome
meaner than you.
everybody. We have a big day today. So much to talk about. Of course, there's that merger. Things are happening for Tesla. Things are bigger than we're all expecting. I want to focus on the stock. We've got Nick Gibbs here from Investing Against the Grain. We have Hans. Check out his YouTube channel at Hans C. Nelson. We were just joking because Nick's trying to look smart today. He put on his glasses. I got to be smart.
Yeah, it's kind of stupid for me to try to look smart when I'm on a call with Herbert. It brings IQ down. So
All right. So today, big news. Bloomberg reported it. Reuters reported it. No official reaction from Elon or Tesla, but Elon did have a little comment, and I'll show that shortly, where he kind of like read it, and then he just said, "Yeah, that the goal would be some sort of Dyson sphere or something like that." So, first of all, do you guys think that this is real? And then let's talk about how it might actually happen, a potential merger between SpaceX and XAI, and then eventually even Tesla.
you go first, Hans, and then I come behind you. You know how we like it.
We'll bypass that one. I want to do a macro overview real quick on this, and then come back to a micro. There's an overarching theme that Elon has been pursuing basically with all of his different companies and efforts for a long time, and that is expanding the scope and scale of consciousness, preserving the light of consciousness, and then expanding its scope and scale in the universe. And Tesla up to this point has had its role in trying to preserve the light of consciousness here on Earth, that we want to be able to have the energy that we need. We want to be able to have the transportation that we need, sourced in a way that doesn't create risk that we're going to extinguish humanity. And that was the whole mission of Tesla that now has really started to evolve. And then SpaceX is about, having that backup, getting us to Mars eventually, potentially beyond. We'll probably start with the moon. And then all of this happening right at the same time that, oh man, AI, superintelligence is right around the corner. And so how do you preserve the light of human consciousness on Earth in the age of artificial intelligence, and at a time that we're also expanding off-world to the moon and Mars and then beyond? And so I think that is something that has been consuming Elon's time a lot more. We've seen a lot more commentary from him on a lot of different fronts. And each of, he made the comment on that podcast here recently about how there is this increasing convergence between Tesla, between SpaceX, between XAI, and really even Neuralink and the Boring Company over time. Those are a little bit further out from having the applications. Boring Company will be something that is needed on Mars, but we're not that close to being to Mars yet. But space data centers, that's something that will come sooner than settling Mars. And for space data centers, you need Tesla, you need SpaceX, and you need XAI, all of those together. And so, especially when you look at the rate that XAI is building data centers, we started out with the first 100 megawatt cluster of H100s, and then just within a matter of, I guess I should know this off the top of my head, but it's somewhere close to 12 months from the first 100 megawatts to then a gigawatt. So that's a 10x in size. So the next milestone is 10 gigawatts a year from now. And then the one after that is 100 gigawatts 2 years from now. That's insane amounts of power that you're talking about, a meaningful fraction of the overall energy consumed by the United States in just 2 years. And so if you want to continue those types of pace of expansion, you have got to go to space. That's why these timelines, and if you need to be putting hundreds of gigawatts worth of power up in space only a few years from now, you needed to start yesterday. So that's the motivation behind what's happening right now, is that Elon wants to make sure that humanity has a great future, and that includes multiple vectors. That includes the safety of what's going on here on Earth, that includes from artificial intelligence, and that includes our ability to go out into space. And so all of these things were destined to kind of come together for quite some time. I mean, if you ever took Elon seriously about wanting to settle Mars, that is such a gargantuan project that like the United States right now couldn't settle Mars if we wanted to. China can't settle Mars right now if it wants to. But Elon Musk is talking about trying to settle Mars. And that necessarily puts him in competition with the two most powerful entities on planet Earth. And in order for him to be able to go head to head on that level, then all of these things really do need to come together. They need to work together. The question is, do they really exist as one company? Is it one massive holding company with a bunch of subsidiaries? Like, what is the exact structure of that? But the, end game that they were all going to be tightly woven together so that he could accomplish these missions is inevitable.
That was a good reminder. You just went through, like, from your mind, this is the way Elon was thinking, even from the very beginning. Like, this was his old goal. It was going to happen anyways. That's a good reminder. Nick, thoughts on that? And then also focus on the stock too. What will happen to Tesla?
So let me be the Debbie Downer. My instincts, or not instincts, that's the wrong word. If I had to put odds on this, I would say odds are Tesla and SpaceX are not going to merge. I feel like it's unlikely. Would I want that? Shit, I think it'd be the coolest thing ever. I just don't think it's likely. I think right now it might just be a lot of extra noise as they're going and trying to price out an IPO. A lot of rumors. It's kind of a normal thing. Obviously, we don't normally hear about things like this because not many IPOs are at the scale of Tesla and SpaceX. But at the same time, you see Anthropic and OpenAI trying to go into IPO. And what do you hear? You hear these announcements about Amazon might be doing a $50 billion investment in OpenAI, right? Like, these things start to come out when companies go to IPO. So, and there's also the other part of me that thinks, okay, there actually might be something to this, because Chamath talked about it last week on the All In podcast, and now here we are. There's these leaks, but we don't even know what the source is of this rumor. At least I haven't been able to figure out what the actual source is or where it first started. It just all of a sudden came out last night, and I couldn't backtrack where it came out from. So I don't know. I hope it happens. I just don't know how likely it really is. Yeah, but again, are they just saying this because they saw the All In podcast and they're saying this? Like, how do we know?
We don't know. I mean, one of the questions I asked everybody, one of the questions I asked Jeff and Joe this morning was, could this have actually been a leak, a purposeful leak? So,
well, if it's legit, it would be a leak, obviously. But we also don't know, again, with some of these legacy. Hold on, let me finish. With these legacy media outlets, if they're just listening to something and they're just regurgitating for headlines, that's sexy. The other thing that kind of throws a little wrinkle into it for me is, why would Tesla invest $2 billion into X if the whole idea is all just going to combine together? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why even bother your time with the paperwork and the mental cycles? It's just, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit? What's not going to happen? So there's a couple rumors. The first rumor is that SpaceX and XAI will merge, and then SpaceX will IPO. And then the other rumor was that SpaceX and Tesla would merge. And then I guess the third rumor would be SpaceX and XAI merge, which makes sense because they're both private companies. And then once you do that, to go public, you don't go IPO, you actually just merge with Tesla, who's already public. So which one of those you don't agree? The Tesla part of it, or
you
all of
wouldn't
it?
go do that. You'd have to create a whole new cap table. So it'd have to be its own
Share
unique
swap?
company.
Yeah. So you're okay, but anyways, which part of it you don't agree? you don't think is likely
I
to
think
happen?
2 legs are
All of it?
possible. I don't see 3 legs.
So maybe XAI and SpaceX is okay,
Yeah, sure,
unlikely that
that
Tesla's
happens, and
involved.
then, okay, Tesla is $2 billion, okay, that still makes sense.
Mhm.
Or maybe SpaceX and Tesla, there is something there, but again, if the idea is to merge with X as well, then why did they even do that 2 billion? Like, what makes no sense. So it just I don't know, like, I feel like I don't see how the 3 legs make sense
Uh,
whenever they have
I
the 2
can
billion in
I
X.
think the reason why one reason possibly I can come up with is that
Yeah, convince me.
if
I'm happy to change my
sure,
mind.
sure.
Like, I don't wanna be
Why
right.
did XAI invest 2 billion? Why did Tesla invest 2 billion? Why did SpaceX invest 2 billion to XAI? Why did Tesla invest 2 billion to XAI?
Wait
It's
wait,
to
how do we know
show.
SpaceX did?
Oh yeah, I mean it is that's been again. I don't know. I haven't checked it out, but I do have reports that occurred.
Okay, but these reports, like, where are the sources? Like, sorry, I just all these
Yeah,
things that come out, if you can't tell me or I didn't hear it from the source, it's
yeah,
bullshit to me. Sorry,
true.
it's
Agreed. I mean, half of this we don't know how true this is, but
yeah, and I can't do anything with that, or I can't. I mean, we can obviously talk
it's
here,
Morgan Stanley
but
announced it, so I think this part is true. I mean, look,
SpaceX
hey,
is
it's
part
true. Tesla invested 2 billion to XAI. That's fact.
okay, this
And
I
this
would
part
believe.
here
Okay, this I would
that
believe. Okay,
SpaceX invested 2 billion to XAI. I think this is fact. You can see it right here. That
okay.
it's part of the fundraise.
Yep,
I
agree.
think the
This
reason
is
why
what I'm
they
talking
might
about.
have
This
done
I
that.
believe now.
Okay, the reason why they might have done that is to show that shareholders of SpaceX want to be part of XAI, and shareholders of Tesla, which we already voted on, want to be part of Tesla. That then allows this conversation to occur of
Yeah, but
merging.
the $2 billion is not what shows the
Enough.
interest, it's the interest that shows the interest. The two
Sure.
billion is to answer the
Yeah.
interest. So,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get you what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, I could definitely see the idea of merging all 3 of these companies. I mean, even the idea of just merging 2 of them, like, that's a big thing. There's a lot of due diligence that has to go into that. So I'm not saying this is what happened, but I think it's reasonable or reasonably possible for them to say, hey, let's explore the idea of combining all 3 companies. And that's going to take some time. In the meantime, let's go ahead and, like, we're already in this working relationship. We would like for resources and capital to flow between the companies a little bit more than they are today at a bare minimum. And so let's go ahead and make these investments as we continue to work through the due diligence. And I mean, like, I agree with Nick that this is an extremely complicated, complex even idea, and there's a lot of risks and there's a lot of factors to consider. This is going to take an army of lawyers and strategists to really think through the implications. I mean, just the centralization risk for Elon Musk to, like, that is a giant honeypot that you have created for everyone who hates you. And, there is some, for the same reason that if you have an insane amount of money, you don't keep it all in one bank. Well, if you are Elon Musk and you are creating a lot of organizational risk, maybe it is good to keep SpaceX officially separate from Tesla. And then there are other forms of the deal where, they only acquire partial ownership of one another. And it's not really, like a wholly owned subsidiary or a holding company where everything actually sits underneath one umbrella. So there are other forms of how this could work as well. But yeah, when you think about not only the lawsuit risk, but then the regulatory risk, the relationship, once again, between the United States government through changing administrations over decades and Elon Musk and his companies, Elon's evolving relationship with the CCP, one of the things that this, definitely you have to consider is that SpaceX is going to be one of the key and most powerful defense contractors for the United States for the foreseeable future. That there is no, more important high ground than space when it comes to military operations. And so,
just real quick, you bring up another good point too. So SpaceX right now can't hire foreign people because
Mhm.
it's rules as a defense company is how they're listed. So if this new entity is a defense company. I don't know how is that another hurdle you have to go over. Like, can you be like, well, no, they're working over here, not over here. It's like, okay, well, how
Yeah, lots to
easy is
work
that?
out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, so how likely is this? I think we're all saying we do not know. This is rumors. We don't know. Nobody said anything true. This was reported to over 24 hours ago. And Elon replied to this post here. This guy said, just in, right? Elon's SpaceX in talks to merge with XAI before IPO, Reuters reports. And then this person said, SpaceX will be the Dyson Swarm company. We're locked in for Kardashev 2.
Here,
Elon replied to that and saying, yeah. So that is a thread.
Yeah, let's double click on this for a second. Because, so, what is a Dyson Swarm? Well, that is the idea that you have these satellites that orbit the sun, not necessarily the Earth, and they receive solar energy from the sun and they turn it into compute power. So you are basically trying to build a computer that can leverage the entire power of a star. And this is, super nerdy sci-fi type concepts that have inspired Elon for a long time. And this technology is actually something. So Jeff Bezos is the alt account for Guillaume Verdun, who is the CEO of a company called Extropic. And the concept behind Extropic is specifically aimed at this problem that Guillaume realized that the current way that we do CPU and GPU based computation that's all based in binary is way too power inefficient to be a great fit for space-based compute. And so he's working on a more analog style compute where you, instead of having bits that are either 1 or 0, they're p bits, and they can be any number between 0 and 1 along a continuous scale. And so you can run algorithms differently. It can be a lot more energy efficient for specific types of problems and applications. It's not a wholesale replacement for traditional computation, but there are workloads that it can accelerate massively and do so while dramatically reducing the power consumption. And so this is a problem. Like, Guillaume started this company specifically to help when someone like XAI comes along and wants to build data centers in space, to have chip technology that they can loft into orbit around whichever, celestial body that is, gives the most bang for your buck in terms of power, compute power per unit mass and unit energy. And so, like, that's part of the background that Guillaume is bringing to the table when he says that, like, this is legitimately technology that he's working towards enabling. And Elon is saying, yes, this is exactly what I want to build. And so, I would love to see at some point the due diligence being done by SpaceX and XAI on Extropic's technology to consider whether that needs to be built into the AI 7, AI 8 chips down the road that Elon's talking about putting up in space. But that is, that's part of, the background context to what's going on here. And we've seen Elon talking so much about trying to climb the Kardashev scale, which is all about, like, a Dyson sphere is a technology that puts you at a Kardashev level 2 society.
Harnessing the power of the sun. So anyways, that's Elon saying this. Okay, well, let's assume, there's a lot of reasons why this is very unlikely that's going to happen. We do not know. But let's assume it does. Are you guys in favor of this as Tesla investors?
I definitely would be. I mean, I would love to have exposure to all of those things. I think the TAM of a Dyson sphere is infinitely larger than terrestrial GDP. So, if we want to redefine the upper bound on the problems that we're trying to solve several orders of magnitude and make meaningful progress, I'm all in.
Yeah, I'm fine with it too. I think it'd be great. I did Herbert, during the earnings call, I don't know if I was distracted or what, because I was just excited that everything was going up. Did they skip the first question?
No, not the first question. They skipped one of the
The
questions and
SpaceX question.
the sixth question. Oh, yes, they did skip that. That question was not the first question anymore. It fell,
Oh, it fell?
and then they skipped that question when it was asked.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. You
So
did it.
so it's yeah, so that's curious, right? That they skipped that.
Yes.
I can steel man why it could work or like why the 2 billion too. Like I've thought about this.
Mhm.
Um, but to answer your question, yes, I would be for this. Like I do think this would be great.
And what do you think? Do you think the stock would rise? So I think the calculation some people have said, right? If SpaceX is worth 800 billion, let's call that a trillion, because by the time it goes, if it goes IPO on its own, it's $1 trillion company. You got XAI 250 billion, then you have Tesla at 1.5 trillion. The idea would be that if SpaceX and XAI merge, then they would be a $1.25 trillion company. If they then merge with $1.5 trillion Tesla, Tesla would have 55% of the company. So you as a Tesla share owner now owns this massive company, own a person of it. Would that make Tesla stock go up or down? And most I think I've read is that if it's done this way, Tesla stock's going to go up because it's not going to be a $3 trillion entity at that point. People are going to bid this thing up, maybe even to 5 trillion, whatever. It's like,
Well, the answer is it depends. It depends on what the merger would look like, right? And what they would value Tesla at for that, because at some point they have to kind of have a static decision on what it's going to be so we can create the proper cap table and we can actually do the transaction itself and figure out how like what the proportions are for the shareholders as well. What part do we get? So at some point there's like, hey, this is how much it's going to be, and then it won't keep going up because no one's going to pay more for it than what it's worth, what it's this new entity is going to be, right? So, but I don't know. It's the thing. It just depends how they do it. And I don't exactly know how they would do it and how if they would weight it all the same or if they're going to try to juice it up for the SpaceX holders or for the XAI holders for more so than for us and the public. So it's like I don't know. Like they could skew this in any way. There's too many. Anyone who says they know, they don't know.
yeah, no, no, no.
Unless
Yeah.
you hear someone like Chamath saying how he thinks it would work. Like I
He
would
did say something
say
about it. And
not
he
about
said,
this.
no,
Not
exactly about this. He did.
no, let me if you let me finish a sentence, you'll hear what
Okay.
I'm trying to say. He
All
did
right.
not sit here and tell you what it would look like from a stock perspective. He used general numbers, rough math for evaluation, but you don't know what it would look like and what the weighting would be and what they would what it would affect the stock. So we have no idea. So unless someone like that comes out and says like, well, this is what would happen, this is how it execute, like I wouldn't listen to anyone who's trying to armchair this because this is very complicated. There's not going to be one company that does this. Like obviously PwC is going to be part of it. So probably, I imagine they're going to bring in Deloitte, probably Goldman Sachs, probably I don't know if JP Morgan, maybe not. I know there's some tension there. I don't know. Maybe they've announced it already. Who all is part of this merger or the IPO? But there's probably a lot that would happen here. It's complicated. It's not that straightforward. And that's all like I can think of. Like that's like God, who am I? Right? Like those are the things I can think of.
Yeah, when I think about this just as like a long-term shareholder, I think that this is a lot of short-term noise, and really the question all comes back down to, okay, what bottlenecks does Elon decide to bring in-house to solve? Like, does a terafab get built? Whether that's by Tesla, I mean, the terafab is going to be Tesla if it gets built. Tesla's the one that's building all the computer chips. So like, if the computer chips and the solar cells that end up going into space to power these space data centers are manufactured by Tesla instead of by someone like NVIDIA or Samsung or any of these other partners, even directly by TSMC, then the implications for that are pretty massive for Tesla shareholders over the long run. So does this deal make a terafab more or less likely, I think, is really the relevant question that I should ask as a long-term shareholder. Like, I'm not planning to cash out around this event. Yeah, and so that
likely.
Yeah, and that's what I think the calculus boils down is like, if they can use this to make the capital raise larger or more effective to take on some of these big projects, I think that's the more relevant question, compared to, like, do the shares meaningfully go up at the time that the whole transaction closes, or what is the exact format of the merger? And there are other people who have a lot shorter time frame. Like, if you're trying to get out in the next 5 years, then those questions matter to you a lot more. If you actually want to go on an insane hyper exponential ride over the next 20, 30, 40 years, as we absolutely go ham on building out intelligence in the solar system, well, then it's a different story.
Yeah, what I was referring to about Chamath was this. Tesla Yoda asked, how would such a deal be structured? He said, yeah, he's not obviously answering what I wasn't trying to imply that he was telling you what the stock's going to do, but he did answer a little bit of what he thought, how it could work. Essentially, an equity swap, establish a value for SpaceX, establish a value for Tesla, then merge the cap tables. You can get Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs to run an auction to price discover the SpaceX price, wrap the whole thing in a huge round to accompany the merger. It's much cleaner than have SpaceX go public and then merge it with Tesla later. This is the time to do it. That's what he was saying.
That I will say, the fact that Chamath says that, or has been talking about this, is to me the biggest signal that there's a chance it happens. Because obviously Chamath knows Elon. Chamath wouldn't just be saying this. It's almost kind of like Trump floating out there the different Fed chairs to see what the market does.
Yeah.
So like all this stuff's calculated. Like let's not think that these reporters just somehow got this. But at the same time, I've seen enough times where these reporters just hear something on the podcast and they make into a news just to get headlines and clicks. So it's like it can go either way.
Yeah. The thing is, we're waiting for Elon to reply, and he hasn't, and it's been over 24 hours. And this is big. Well, you can't. I mean, if something like this comes in and he goes, it's false, not true.
Sure, he can do it, and it's against his own interests.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so he has not. If this was not the way he's
like, if they're trying to do it balanced, and all of a sudden people just pile into Tesla stock, and all of a sudden it's imbalance, like that's not good for him or for the merger or any of it. Like, he can't say anything right now.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I can see either way, I guess. And if it wasn't happening, then he could say it's not happening. If it's not happening, SpaceX is being considered IPO.
It's funny you say that, because I do think there's something to be said for that. That the fact that he's not saying anything, like there's two things. They're like, hey, there might be something here. One is that Chamath is saying it and talking about it, and it's not like he just said it on the Elon podcast. Then now he's saying it again yesterday. But the other thing is Elon's being quiet. Now, we also know Elon does this from time to time, where there'll be something, he'll just let a rumor simmer out there until he finally, like 3 days later, says something. But at the same time, he probably wouldn't be able to say anything right now, or it would probably be against the interest of the deal to say something right now. So yeah.
We don't know. It can go either way. Okay.
Yeah, my expectation is that he is allowing, like, he's exploring the idea, he's playing with it, and so he's not going to say one way or the other.
Yeah, to Steelman, my point before about where it'd only be two legs, or like to Steelman the other side. As far as why Tesla did the $2 billion into X AI, right? It's like, well, if they're all three going to merge, like, why would they even waste time doing that? Well, they might have wasted time doing that because it was already done by the time they decided, hey, we think it's time for SpaceX to go public. And that might have already been in the works. And it's like, all right, well, it's already done. We've got the paperwork. It's just like it's in motion. We're not going to go and try to stop that at this point. It's irrelevant. It'd be more work to do that than now we're trying to explore the combination of all three. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever like started like sitting there doing a project on the house? I don't know. Maybe you're like, we'll just change out the curtains on this wall, whatever, this window. And next thing you know, you're like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just paint the whole wall, rip out the carpet, put in new flooring, and like let's just be done with it. Let's do it right. It might have been something like that too. Like, oh, we'll get a little piece. Like, screw this. Let's just do it. We've been wanting to do this, been talking about it. Maybe Chamal's like, why don't you just do this? Like, it makes sense. It's the right time. Like, I'm just saying, like, all that could be the case as well. But now we're just playing hot and loose with degrees of freedom, and like, this ripple is getting really big, and we're really out there now on speculation. But it's fun.
That's fun. Okay, well, we can move on. I mean, this is until we find more information. This is but it's a big thing. This is the whole point. Like, if it happens, this is probably the biggest thing in Tesla's history to merge. For me, it was like Tesla. I can see XAI and SpaceX doing it because they're private companies, but Tesla is a public company. Lots of other things. That one is a little bit harder for me to believe that isn't going to happen. And like you said, Hans, would Elon actually want to put all their eggs in one basket? I asked Chamat, do you only see positives? And people hit me hard. Oh, of course, it's all positive. I'm like, no, there's a lot of negatives for this to happen. I'm for it. I think there's more positives than negatives, but there are negatives, huge negatives for this to happen. But we'll see where he goes.
Yeah, and I just don't feel equipped to really properly do the diligence on what the downside risks are. And I'm just, like, Elon is extremely sophisticated. He's got a team of extremely sophisticated people. And so whatever they decide, the right risk reward trade-off is there, I trust them to make the right judgment on that. And until they've done that, yeah, I don't feel like I'm strongly in favor or strongly against.
All right, let's move on. I mean, so on the earnings call, we haven't heard from you, Hans, and an update from you as you've thought about it, Nick. Earnings call. I mean, did they successfully transition to a transportation as a service company, physical AI company? Do you think investors now understand that this is what the company's doing? Did they do a good job of that, or what was just your general opinion about what happened after the earnings call?
Well, I love that we have a couple days worth of stock movement to decide that, the market still feels like it is about the same as it was before. So there's no meaningful re-rating or change in, market sentiment around the company so far. But that said, I really enjoyed listening through the call. A lot of things that, I listened to you guys in your conversation about it. I think Jeff has some good points about, like, if you're telling me you're going to spend aggressively, $20 billion, and you're not even doing your homework and sharing it with the rest of the class on what you expect to get for that $20 billion of ROI, like, you're basically just saying, hey, we were really good with ROIC. Trust us, bro. Here we go. That's not the most professional thing that a team could do. That said, these technologies and the timelines around them, I think, are really, really hard to predict. And so from Elon's mind, this is the right time. Elon is very conservative on timing for CapEx investments. And I think the fact that he's willing to commit that right now does go a long way to say, hey, I think, the timing is right. We are going to see that return on investment quickly. And it's a good time for, you can't look at what's happening right now in artificial intelligence and come away and think, no, we should play it conservative. We should, we should Apple this thing and just not do anything. So
he even said that we are hiring more people.
Yep. So I think all of that was extremely significant. And the other big thing is, and then this ties back into the theme that I've already been talking about today, is Elon's concern about geopolitical risk as it relates to the United States and China. He sees the temperature on that relationship escalating over time, not decreasing. He wants to continue to aggressively try to secure the interests of the United States against China, and Tesla's spot within that, XAI's spot within that, SpaceX's spot within that. And so I think his relationship with the CCP is probably on a trajectory to become more and more adversarial over time rather than less so. And it's just because they're natural competitors, that Elon sees what the CCP is doing in terms, on a whole number of fronts, not only how they're philosophically aligned, their opinion of their position in the world, their opinion of Taiwan and their ownership of Taiwan, but then also just the speed with which China moves, the industrial might that China has, all of these things. He's views them as the only real true competitor to Musk Industries. And so he wants to, kickstart a revolution here in the United States to be able to stand toe to toe with them and with that. And that's going to be a huge narrative line that shapes human history for the next at least decade. And, unless something catastrophic happens, far longer than that.
Yeah. Elon did say, right? He said that China is the number one competitor for EVs, the number one competitor for robotics. He said that. And then he said the number one competitor for AI and manufacturing. So, and then he's very concerned about geopolitical risk in 3 years from now.
Yeah.
My turn?
Yes.
Go for it.
So I think the geopolitical risk part, I just want to start there since we were just talking about it. I see it a little differently. One, if there's a real current political risk, I don't see it as China or anything Elon related. It's Europe. You see Europe making all these restrictions, making it really hard for FSD to go out there. You see them trying to not only find X, but find Elon directly. You just see a lot happening there, all the censorship and all that. So I think in the short term, that's the bigger risk. I think the other risk geopolitically still is in China, but China's the good boogeyman to use. China's the Sputnik that the United States needs to have massive GDP growth and to reinvest in ourselves, right? And so I almost see the geopolitical risk is not China. Our geopolitical risk is Congress and our debt spending that's out of hand as it's proportionate to GDP. So to me, the geopolitical risk is that if we do not start building and creating substantial GDP here, we have a big problem as a nation. So that's kind of how I see it. Now, maybe I'm trying to 3D game this a little bit rather than just the, military invasion of Taiwan, taking over for chips and all that. I think there's more that's going on here with the way he's thinking. And when I think about it from that lens, it makes a lot more sense to me, especially with all the things he's constantly talking about needing massive GDP growth. As far as the earnings goes, going back to that, I stand by what I was saying. I think it was a very disappointing call. The slide deck, best slide deck we've ever had. Fantastic. It's literally what we've been asking for a long time. Brilliantly done. And if they would have just read what was on there, it would have been a fantastic earnings call. To me, what was disappointing was they did not take the chance to at all really address FSD, the expansion. What are they going to do to have that 30-70 split for FSD subscribers flip over? Because it's concerning. I know everyone's excited to see the numbers. I'm here to say those numbers suck. You don't want 30% of the people who are buying it to be the ones who are on the lower end of the income ladder. The people buying it outright, 70%, they're on the higher end. We have that equation mixed up. FSD only scales at the lower consumer, not at the higher end consumer. And that's a problem That's a whole narrative issue. And their poor communication, I know everyone talks about it's just an earnings call, they're tired, they're working hard and all that. But their issue at the earnings call is the same issue they have with getting the message out there about FSD and informing the general public. Not everyone's on X. People know about this through other mediums, and their poor performance on the earnings call is a parallel, and it's the same problem they have with getting the message out there. I'm sorry, it's almost hypocritical, and like, look, I'm not saying I'm smarter than Elon by any means, but you can see hypocrisy in a thought process in a person, and you can call that out. All right. If not, you're just literally a shill for anything the man says. But to sit there and talk about humanity first constantly and not do everything you can to have the best vehicle, safest technology out there to save the lives of when we look at toddlers in general, every year, number one or number two top reasons why toddlers die in this country is car accidents. So you don't sit there and talk about population decline. Don't sit there talking about being humanity first and all this when you have the technology to save as many lives as possible, and you're not doing everything you can to get that message out there. And this whole narrative, they're just waiting for the maximum safety and all that. Guys, we use it. We know it's good. We know it's safe. Like, it is better than what's out there right now, which is just human meat puppets driving around. And so to me, it starts to get even more and more, aggravating. And I see Bradford starting to feel the same way. I see him posting out there. And so to me, look, I love the guy. I love the company. I'm not going to not invest in them, but there are areas they can improve. And if they would just improve this one freaking area, they would be almost a perfect company. And I say almost because nothing's perfect, but like, damn, they would be it. So I don't know. That's it. That's my only beef with them. That's it. And I don't know how anyone can not agree with me on that. I'll stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, better communication has been the number one issue that I think everybody wishes they would do better. I think Tesla and Elon, they focus on the tech and solve the problem, and then that will speak volumes. And it does, but it doesn't hurt as well to figure out how to spread this out faster. Focusing on the
communication is the fact that good communication could equal save lives. That's it. Like, that's the linchpin. If it was good communication equals more stock price, like that'd be like, all right, Nick, shut the hell up. Like, stop being greedy. But it's the fact that good communication would equal save lives. And it's hard for me to just ignore that. It's really hard for me to contextualize not being up at arms and telling the company, hey, you guys need to wake up. You're missing this.
Yeah, it's kind of an unavoidable river that you have to go through when you're developing self-driving technology, because there is the point where it's safe and it's improving safety for humans, but it's not consensus yet. And anything that happens,
we don't talk about it and get it out there.
Yeah. It's not necessarily as it relates to communication, but this is just like the inherent challenge for anyone who wants to provide safer than human autonomous driving technology, is that, like, there's a legitimate argument that being cautious around rolling it out to the public is costing human life, because it legitimately is. Like, if you wait longer than you had to wait to get it out there so that you can have even more margin, like, as soon as it's safer than human, you can be saving lives. And I would argue today we're at that point with Tesla. And so, every month of delay between fully unsupervised, and robotaxis at scale is time that legitimately costs the life of someone. And it is unfortunate that, there are lives that could be saved that are not going to be saved. But then if you zoom out to the grand scheme of things, it will still save way more lives in the long term. And yeah, that doesn't make this transition period feel less messy.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't have to be messy, I guess is my point. It's like, I'm not saying, hey, put robotaxis everywhere unsupervised, but you could have a very strong campaign to get the message out there about supervised FSD. The fact that there are people who drive Teslas, and they admitted this last quarter, and they have never even tried FSD, that should be embarrassing. That should be a KPI that they're all failing on, and they should all get admonished or fired for that. Not saying Elon, obviously, but you get my point. Like, there should be repercussions for that. So it's not like I'm saying, hey, just blast us out unsupervised, go balls to the wall and do stupid things. And if we still kill people, it's okay because in the greater scheme of things. No, that's not what I'm saying either. Like, there's a very clear, obvious middle ground there that encompasses the majority of what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I do think that, regardless of what happens with their communication strategy around full self-driving, the fact that they removed autopilot recently, like, they've got to do something there, and hopefully whatever they do includes dramatically improving the active safety features that come on the vehicle for free as well, so that even if someone is not subscribed to FSD supervised, they end up getting close to, if not identical, bump in safety levels compared to anything.
To be honest, I think that Tesla should just kind of take a stand and say, you're not allowed to buy our car if you're not going to subscribe to FSD.
Or it's bundled into a subscription. I think that's what they'll do. Now that insurance is going to go down, they can just bundle it as part of the price. Nobody would even notice. You make a fantastic point, and it's an important point. You've been saying this for months, and Tesla has not responded with a good communication for FSD. I know a lot of people have reached out to me.
Just to add to that, I've been saying it for months. They agree with me. Tesla said it themselves on the last call that this is what they need to work on. We couldn't even get an update on that in this call. So it's not like, again, I'm just like, I'm smarter than Elon. I'm saying what Elon's been saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to defend them. 1.8 million cars. They can sell 2.5 million cars. All of them are going to save lives, but the bigger one would be robotaxi rollout. That's the one that that can save the most lives in every city they can get to. And then Elon, of course, was trying hard to push the company, get out there. 50% of the U.S. population, but they want to go slower, cautious for reasons. You can, we don't have the data that they have. We don't, but you heard. I think what I heard at that call was, the CFO in Ashok kind of like defended Tesla, saying, guys, it's not like we haven't been working on the infrastructure. We're looking at this at scale. We've been working on it for years. And part of the reason why they haven't rolled it out is not because of safety. It's mostly because of infrastructure, right? Making sure that they've got everything and the ducks in a row. How do you handle thousands of cars? Not just 1,000 or 2,000, but 5, 10, 20, 30,000 cars. This is where they're going. That's what they're thinking in their head. They're preparing that ahead of time. But yeah. There's no debate. That's true. Anything that happened in the earnings call, guys, that was shocking to you, or that was a very interesting nugget that you thought was very important?
I don't think there's anything, that comes to mind that we haven't already touched on that rises to that level. The amount of manufacturing lines that they are planning to ramp up this year, I think, is, obviously when you're talking about 20 billion of capex, you hope that you're investing in things that are going to generate cash flows. So obviously that's what they're going to be spending it on. But 6 manufacturing lines is a lot. It's a lot of complexity. I do feel better about that now. Like, just going through this exercise with updating the Model Y across all factories simultaneously, that's a big execution exercise, and they passed. And so I think that gives me a little bit of increased confidence in how this rollout of that many different manufacturing lines in that many different places across that many different products is going to go. And I'm not saying that it's going to go flawlessly. It's going to be a giant pita, and it's going to be a kick in the teeth for everyone. But I think the level of execution that we see with Tesla in other areas can give us confidence that when we run into those bottlenecks, that they're working through it as fast as humanly possible, considerably faster than anyone else could or would in that same situation.
Yeah. I want to point out that Jeff Lutz pointed out that there's 2 times that Elon said the word underestimated. He thinks that people are underestimating. The first one was solar. The second one was, he said, is people are underestimating the value of putting your cars into the robo-taxi network. So there are some people who are saying now, well, that's never going to happen anymore. Sounds like that they're still repeating that is something that they plan to do.
If I'm Elon Musk and my compensation package is tied to 10 million robo-taxi subscriptions and EBITDA milestones at the same time, people keep arguing with me on X that they're going to be able to have basically free unsupervised FSD on their cars. And I'm like, you guys are smoking crack. It's not going to happen without Tesla being compensated in some way, shape, or form. And a great way to do that is, hey, you give me your car for X many hours a month, and for that you will get a subscription to FSD that we earn some revenue off of, that pays for your subscription, that then allows you to have the service of unsupervised FSD when you have the car yourself. That kind of ticks the boxes of everyone being equitably treated in that scenario.
Are you including people who already bought it outright?
No, I'm talking about people who are like, there's a lot of subscribers who say, I'm paying $100 a month and I expect to get unsupervised level functionality for $100 a month or less in perpetuity. I'm like, no, that's not how that's going to work.
I kind of agree with you. I could see it where they say, like, there's all kinds of ways you can structure this, but where you say, hey, okay, you keep it $100, but here's what you do for us then. Or $200 a month and you don't have to put your car out there, right? Like,
or 200, fine, you can have $100 a month and you get 100 miles or 150 miles or whatever, and like you can use it whenever.
Well,
but
I can see people not wanting to give their car up, right? Like if I have some car seats and a stroller, and every time I go, like, I don't want to give my car out into a network, but I also want to be able to drive safe with my family.
But Tesla will definitely have incentives. Like, you're going to really have a good reason personally why you don't want to do that in order to not do that. And Tesla will set up the incentives because you just have this massive, like, the asset base that Elon Musk has talked about so long, that's going to have this huge value increase overnight. Like, you can't have cars that could be generating cash flow for Tesla as a robotaxi sitting around doing nothing and, not have some market incentive to pull it into the network at key times and key places that a lot of people will actually take advantage of. And that's the thing that, these people who are making this argument that, hey, I expect that I'm going to get this functionality of 24/7 access to unsupervised FSD, which is like 24/7 personal chauffeur, and that car never goes out onto the robotaxi network. Like, it's ludicrous to think that level of service is something that you will only pay $100 a month for.
That's what Elon meant when he said that we're going to raise the prices for unsupervised.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Makes sense. Okay. That part actually was confusing, because if he was going to raise the price of FSD, not just $100, how is he going to get his 10 million subscriptions, right? But then you've explained it really well. You can keep it low if you put it into the network a few times. You'll get a revenue share. So you can reduce how much. It's $200 a month, but you can reduce it to 100 easily just by putting into the network once a week or whatever the calculation comes up.
I basically expect for them to get very creative with different pricing mechanisms for how, like, whether it's per mile pricing or like hourly contributions to the robotaxi network. Like, they've got a lot of different levers to pull around pricing to move those vehicles around and utilize them in the best way that they can, regardless of who owns them today.
Yeah, man, I'm glad I got money, because I don't want to give my car away.
Well, yeah, and that's why it's nice to have purchased FSD, because now we get to keep the car and have unsupervised
I mean,
functionality.
yeah, I'm a 2-car family. We don't need 2 cars all the time. I work
Oh,
from
I agree.
home,
We've
so
talked
I'll
about
let
this.
one out.
My Model Y will. It's got iPod
Yeah, yeah,
FSD on it, so that will go to work. But
yeah,
my
yeah.
everyday car,
Yeah,
like I
keep it.
I don't want some random people in it. I don't want people farting on my seats. I don't want someone spilling their drink.
It's
Like,
gonna be clean, but it's gonna be spotless by the time you get it back. You know the patent that Tesla released, right? You saw that. It's like you send your car out, it goes to the service center, they clean it out, and it goes in services. And then when it comes
The
back
magic
to you,
defartifier
when you
service.
ask, yeah, when you ask,
uh,
you saw the patent, man. That thing. I was at We Robot at 1010 event, and I'm standing there and I'm watching the big presentation and all this thing happening. The guy beside me the whole time for 4 hours, he told me he's the guy that built the automated cleaning for the cybercaps, this whole robotic thing. And
Oh,
so
that's
it was
awesome.
like, but you've seen it. It's like UV lights to clean
oh,
they shine the lights through, use the mirrors to make sure that every part is got is
Disinfected,
disinfected.
sanitized. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And then so by the time it comes, when you say I want it back by 5, he goes and gets cleaned, comes to you. And so they are not intending that you're going to smell any smoke,
Mhm.
anything. You'll be banned for life if you smoke in that robot taxi.
have you guys test driven the new Model Y at all?
Which new one are you talking about? The revised one that's since February of last year?
No, just whatever the new one. Yeah, the
Yeah, I bought
I
one.
don't know. Okay, you bought one. Okay. And have you ever had a Model X, or have you ever driven the Model X?
No,
You've never even driven one?
I've never driven one. No,
What kind of
I don't know. I'm not a Tesla.
man?
kind of
I've driven all of them. What are you doing?
I'm not a car expert. I don't care about
Well,
the
I was
cars
just
as
okay.
much.
Well,
My
I'm
wife
trying
said
to.
the same thing, by the way. They asked me questions about whatever tires, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, aren't you the
Well,
Tesla?
the question I was gonna ask was, with the Model X being discontinued, like, you think it's like a reason to go get one, or do you think the new Model Y is like actually better?
Jeff
Because I hear people
Jeff
say that,
bought
but I'm
one.
like, is it BS or?
I don't know, man. You're a growing family. You have a kid, so yeah, you probably want your Model X, and you want to look cool. So that's you.
That's
I
me.
don't. I don't care. I'll drive a Model 3, man. I'm happy.
I don't care about looking cool. That's the last thing I
Yeah,
care about.
right, dude.
Are you in all the time you've known me and how openly I'll talk? Do you really think I care what
Yeah,
anybody thinks?
you're not trying to win fans or friends or whatever.
No, I don't care. I speak my mind. I am me. You either like me or you don't.
I
You either
am
think I have a
me.
good point or not.
Yeah,
That's
man.
it.
You always have good points.
you know I'm real. You know I'm honest. That's that you can always
That's
get from me. You
funny.
know
All
that.
right.
So
But you want your Model X? Yeah, you should get it.
no,
I
I
mean,
don't know if it's worth it or if it's like the new
It's
Model Y is better than even that.
$100,000 car, man. It's like a better be
I
freaking
just
worth
want the
it.
Cybertruck before they
What does this
discontinue
like?
that. So
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing I think about a lot, Hans, is okay, well, you can have a growing family in a Cybertruck, but then you also get the utility of the bed.
yep.
With the Model X, you're still going to be like, all right, well, I don't, I don't want
I
to
mean, you do have more
damage
seats
it
in
or,
the X, but it's still not big enough. Like that's, for us, we
I'm not
have,
trying to have that much of a growing family.
well,
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
gone through different, different living situations with different numbers of people in the house. And so we have a Sequoia and we have used every bit of space in that Sequoia on numerous occasions.
You
And
have
so an
3
X
kids,
just,
4 kids?
And you call yourself a Tesla expert?
right now we have 0, but we might be back to 2 again here soon. And we've had as many as 5.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's a lot.
One
it's
of
a
the good
dynamic
guys.
situation.
Yeah. Hans, one of the
Okay.
good guys. So what do you guys think about the Cybertruck becoming autonomous? So you jumped right to it, Hans, saying that it's going to be discontinued.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to be discontinued, but I am concerned that the current, volume that they are not going to want to keep making it in its current form. They're going to want to reclaim that space and use it for something that is
But they just answered
fully
it.
autonomous.
Their answer
So-
was it's going to be autonomous.
Yeah. And I think the implication is
already
not have
autonomous.
steering wheel and pedals. Yeah, in that form
Yeah.
factor.
Which means it
Um,
won't be sold. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree with that. I think that they will sell it even without steering wheels and pedals. Why is that so hard
Yeah,
to
I
believe?
mean,
I think
I
eventually
think
they'll sell Y and 3 without steering wheels and pedals.
yeah, well, we are talking about vehicles that are particularly well suited to fleet, and I think in those form factor, like, do you anticipate that they're going to continue to sell semis? Because if they're going to continue to sell semis, even once they're autonomously driven, then that would imply that all the transit vans and the, other cargo form factors or cargo friendly form factors are still going to be for sale to individuals and, fleet operators.
Fleet operators. I mean, I just rewatched Elon standing up there talking about how people will be fleet operators. I think it was actually at the We Robot event when he
Yeah.
said that. You can
But I
ride
still
and
want
be a
the
fleet
actual
operator.
Cybertruck, with steering wheel and pedals that you can go off road in and do cool stuff with. So I just, gotta save my pennies.
Yeah. I also I I didn't even think about an X until I test drove one. It's
Oh, you
nice.
love them. Mm.
It's nice. The Cybertruck's all right. Like, okay, I used to say the Cybertruck was nice, but when you get into the X, it's like, oh, this is nice. But the Cybertruck, it's just so utilitarian. Like, I love
Mhm.
having that bed. I love being able to throw stuff back there. My only problem with the Cybertruck is I don't like buying a car like that that's hasn't had its iterations, you know? So I would wanna see, like, the refresh Cybertruck, down the road, and that's what I would be interested in.
May not have a refresh side. Is that right? It was
Nah, they
interesting
will.
that Lars actually did not shut down the analyst when the analyst said, the Cybertruck doesn't sound like it's selling, but maybe you need to create more of a pickup truck kind of looking car. And Lars' answer was, well, the line is created in such a way that we can create any kind of variant that we want to. And then they talked about it becoming an autonomous car in the future.
I want them to build out, like, a SUV. I posted about it recently. Man, like, if
Cyber
they built
SUV.
that thing, I would
Yeah,
buy it in a
lots
heartbeat.
of people. The Tahoes and the
Yeah.
Suburbans and the Sequoias
So wait,
are
did we
quite
not all
high
listen
demand.
to the same earnings call? Was it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Am I okay?
but you
Am
heard
I
what you
being
want to
This
hear.
is
Yeah,
this is
we
just
all
selfish. Like if they're gonna do away with the X, it sure would be nice if
not just that
there
they're
was
doing away
a
with the X. The whole call seemed to me again, it's how you want to listen to it, but many of us heard it and sounded like they repeated over and over and over again. We are now a transportation as a service company. The Roadster is the last drivable car that we're going to sell. And yet people think there's going to be a variant of the Cybertruck. And I mean, yes, they'll continue to improve those cars, but that's not the focus. The focus is autonomy.
No one's saying this to focus. But you can't sit there. It's not intellectually honest to be like, well, like, they didn't say the Roadster is the last car. They didn't say that.
Twice.
I've actually
Lars
heard them
said
say
it.
that, yeah.
Lars said
They
it,
didn't
and
say.
Elon said it.
Okay, let me rephrase this. They said that was the last new model that they're gonna
Mhm.
do. It
Sure.
doesn't mean that there's not gonna be variants of existing models. It doesn't mean there's not gonna be iterations or
Yes.
evolutions of
Yeah.
existing models. So they
Mhm.
didn't say that. They
Mhm.
didn't say, "That's it, we're fully a TAS company and we're not selling cars anymore."
Yeah.
They didn't say they're taking out steering wheels and pedals. They didn't say any of that because they can't.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
still have a long road ahead of them. But that's a pathway.
Yeah.
So
Yes, you're all correct. Yeah.
I see a future. I think it still happens. Um, I think that I think they're even if it's fully autonomous, doesn't matter. They're all fully autonomous.
Mhm.
They've said that many times. Every car is a robotaxi. But I can still see them build out a SUV on the Cybertruck line. Why? Because sometimes you have big families that need to go to the airport and then you get 6 people in there, all this luggage, and they don't want to have 6 or different cars come in, or they want to have the whole family together just for a safety thing. It's one parent with 4 toddlers, like, or we split it up and it's like, okay, well, that's more complicated. And we get to the airport and then, well, they get dropped off up there and we're dropped off back here. And now we're separated as a family. Like, that's not cool either, you know?
Yeah, unless they're planning to bring out the Robo Van very, very soon, then there's a
that's
lot of
definitely not coming out soon.
Yeah. Okay. I really like your answer, Hans, earlier, because I think that they can have the best of both worlds. They will still sell the car to people, but then they're going to highly incentivize you to put in the car to the robotaxi network.
Well,
and so then they get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, let's
Somebody
double
bought
click
it.
on that for just a second. Especially Elon's comment was it'll pay for your lease.
Yeah.
And so what it sounds to me like he's saying is that we're going to offer heavily subsidized leases to the types of people who can only afford so much money a month, and they can have their car for so much money a month, but it will basically be mandatory that in order to get that price where you can afford the car, then the car is also working in the robotaxi network some minimum number of hours a month. And so it's, these aren't even people who own the car. These are people who are leasing the car. And so they're using this as basically a funding mechanism to build up this robotaxi fleet.
I think that's what do you guys think about this? That the idea is that they're going to move everything to a lease model or a very low monthly subscription rental model. It's not really rental, but it's like a subscription model to the cars. And then, instead of financing, instead of buying it outright, this is it. They're all moving to a monthly subscription model.
No, I think they'll still sell. And I do think there will be a subscription model as well, but I think they'll still sell.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll have low cost leases that do make up a lot of volume, but it won't be that that's the only thing that they do, and you won't be able to buy the car.
So let's say that they're still going to sell you the car. Will it still be the same price it is today, or will it be double the price now that these things drive themselves? And if you sell it, somebody buys it from you, somebody might say, hey, I'll pay for your Model 3 for $100,000 because I'm going to put it in 100% time in my Austin robotaxi network, and I'm going to make $30,000 a year.
I mean, I do expect that Tesla's going to put the kibosh on permanent FSD purchases transferring between owners. Like, I don't know that.
Nothing to do with that. Just brand new Model 3. You guys said you can still buy it. Or is it going to be the same price? But then somebody knocks on the door and says, hey, I'm going to buy it off you for $60,000. I'll pay you $100,000. I'll pay double because I'm going to put it into the robotaxi full time.
I definitely think there will be some of that, and definitely in and around hot markets. And so, like here in Texas, if like they've already said that Dallas and Houston are coming up, so if we have Austin, Dallas, Houston robotaxi networks scaling rapidly and the ability to earn quite a bit of money in those geographies, then like Texas used Tesla prices should go up quite a bit, and people will, there will be private equity groups or whatever that are, just going around and arbitraging the heck out of that.
Hans, I think you're going to be the very first person to be able to get unsupervised FSD, because if you live in that area, that's where they're going to do it first, I think.
Well, I'm not in Dallas, Houston, or Austin, but
I have a question. Hypothetically, if I was in Austin and I have the robotaxi app, I can use it second I'm there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying now.
And everything's linked up to my profile already, my credit card and everything. That's on my normal Tesla profile. I don't have to put anything.
That's the beauty.
Yep.
It's the
it was seamless.
All right. So I might be trying it out soon.
Ooh. Next, going to Austin.
Hey, JD's on his way down to Austin, so if you're coming in the next couple of days.
Who's JD?
Maybe link up and do AI driver.
Yeah, who's JD?
I didn't know his name. I know him.
You don't know his name?
What kind of a Tesla? I know AI driver. I just didn't.
All right, you're not Herbert. Where's Herbert? This is an imposter.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Replaced by an OpenClaw instance. This is OpenClaw Herbert.
Yeah, the new name is OpenClaw. I love it. I prefer it than Molt. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I do like Claudebot. I fell in love with it. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. See you guys next week.
Whoa.
Appreciate you. Let's go. What happened? Stop.